Talk about the work that got you to this place, the songwriting skills, the work in in songwriting workshops, everything that we don't see behind the scenes. To have a song like Psycho that people are digging, and to have an album full of these wonderfully crafted pop songs. Just talk about the road to this place, because it obviously didn't happen overnight.
No, I mean, the road's long, and I'm only 21, so that's really saying something. No, I've been songwriting since I was like 12. I think I wrote a song every day between the age of like 12 and 15, but all completely ludicrous fictional ones about my husband being thrown in the river, which I did not have. And then between like 15 and probably 19, I would say, I was songwriting. I was in sessions with other songwriters, really just writing songs all the time, trying loads, trying a million different genres, a million different ideas. Like nothing was out of the cards. And I would work with anyone who wanted to work with me. I really just wanted the experience. And I think I was running all around London. It was in LA, I was in Nashville, I was everywhere, anywhere and everywhere that would have me, I would go. And then from about 19 to 21, I think I sort of zoned in a little bit and laser focused and started making this album, adding in a pandemic to a little bit of that, where I sort of went back home to my parents for 7 months and wrote I wrote everything on my own for those few months. So sort of wrote a couple, like 100 songs back at home just on my own on my guitar, and then spent sort of summer of 2020 to now really, really like honing in on this album and like really figuring out what it was and what it was going to say and what songs were going to be on it. And I guess using everything I've learned from those past X amount of years, I guess almost 10 years as a songwriter to get to now.
And when it clicks, like, did this feel different at some point last year when you're sitting down and these songs have come together, and about conversations maybe you had with Ed or other people you work with, and like, you know what, this is special. This is going to be the one that's going to take me to that next place.
Interesting. I feel like making this album, I would say I started making it properly last summer. I went to Suffolk for a month. And there are a couple songs in this album that came from before that, but majority came from summer onwards. And I would say that period from that first day I got to Suffolk onwards, and I'm not like a superstitious person at all. I'm the most like reality-based realist in the whole world. But I would say that a lot of the music that I've made since then and since in that summer and onwards, it's something about it. Just, I think I wrote the first few songs of this album. There's a song called Loving My Don't, Outdoor Pool, Volcano. And I think once I'd sort of done those songs, I think there was like a subconscious shift. I say this a lot of the time, like a lot of things about being in music are really hard and about being an artist are really hard, but making this album actually like purely musically was very, touch wood, very easy. There was just like a knowing, I feel like, inside of me again, which is very bizarre coming from me who like thinks all that stuff is ludicrous, but there was a knowing, and like I was very assured in like the direction I was going in and the music I was making. And I was sort of a couple songs that were really important did come together at the end. Like Psycho was the last thing we did for it, which is funny. It's always the way. But I think as an album as a whole, yeah, I do think there was something special in the sort of coming together and the culmination of all these years in this album, that once sort of we were on that path, it did feel like actually I think everyone really felt excited and like we were really making something good, I'd like to think.
Yeah, for sure. And talk about Psycho specifically. It's such a big, fun, well done song. The video is so amazing. Just
thank you.
Into that in every aspect, just where that song came from and you, first of all.
Yeah, so that song, it was the last song we did for the album. Some things went on in my life, and I think sometimes when some shady affairs happen, sometimes when shady affairs happen, your album deadline is done. But unfortunately, for some people, my album deadline was not done. So I had a day in the studio with Ed already, and Steve Mack, who we also wrote the song with, who I'm good friends with both of them separately, but we'd never written together. So myself and Ed were talking before the session, and we sort of had this idea of doing a song about, if you thought I was crazy about you then, you have no idea how crazy I am now. And having a song called Psycho. And then we went in with Steve, and Steve already had that riff, like on a synth. And yeah, and then really from there, like it probably took us half an hour. It was sort of just like mental speed, da 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 da. da. Me and Ed are pretty quick anyway, so yeah, it was like a lightning bolt moment. And then we did the song, and we almost sort of like listened back to it. Like I don't even think we sang it through until we finished it. And then we listened back to it, and we were like, yeah, this sounds quite good. I was like, I've created a monster. I was like, this is good, but this is like kind of the devil. And lo and behold, it kind of was, but in the best ways. And yeah, now it's out. And the music video, I did it with the guy who I did John Hughes movie music video with, called Louis Bose, who's amazing. And really, we just wanted to make something that felt as sort of like picturesque and cinematic, but also as like sort of macabre and dark and twisted, and marrying those two things together and having that like romance with that sort of like sardonic sort of twist. And yeah, we did, and the video just kept on. There was just more and more ideas thrown in last minute. We had a dance break, we had girls under the bed, we had like us ripping out pages of his book we trying to read. Like so many things were just like thrown in, and then we filmed it in a fever dream. And then yeah, I'm super proud of it.
And how much of that do you enjoy, that cinematic quality and putting yourself out there for videos? And you look great, you have great fashion and style, I've noticed with everything you do. How much of that do you enjoy, that side of the music, the image, and bringing yourself?
It's definitely something I've enjoyed more as I've gotten older. I think that, I mean, primarily, you know, I'm a songwriter and I'm a musician, and that's what I love. And I love the most is writing and performing. But especially in this album campaign, making these music videos and sort of doing these shoots and being in the sort of more creative, the world that's not in music, has been so fun. And I think that really comes from as well working with people who like Louis and like my stylist Lucy, and people that really get the music and get the vision and really are so great. And yeah, like all the shouts to them and Lucy and Dan Sanders, who's my creative director. Like we're all such a team, and we've all been working together now for this album. And so it's like, yeah, we're just all really like nerdy and invested, and like, what if we do this, which references this, which and yeah, so I really enjoyed it, this album.
Talk about your friendship with Ed Sheeran, because I remember talking to Ed when his first songs came out with the same group at this label, whenever that was, and when he was first starting out and knew he was going to be something special. And now to see you kind of working with him and on the cusp of that superstardom thing is pretty exciting. Just talk about that partnership.
Sure. So, I mean, I'm the biggest, I've been saying recently, I have so many nice things to say about Ed. I've become a one-woman Ed Sheeran promotional asset. So he's welcome. But no, we connected about a year and a half ago. We sort of known of each other in various things, but obviously I knew who Ed was. But we work with a lot of similar people. So a guy called Joe Rubel is a producer, Fred Gibson is a producer, Amy Wadge is a writer, and all of those people we both work really closely with. So we were kind of around each other. And then I went up to Suffolk to write with him, because he was sort of, he reached out, and I was obviously very flattered and nervous. And yeah, we went up and we wrote together for 2 days. And actually the first two songs we wrote really are on my album, and they're called Hollow and Boy. And it was just a really immediately like easy and sort of, I don't know what the word is, like easy friendship, I guess. And as a collaborator, I think we work super similarly with similar artists, types of artists even, I'd like to think, which is a compliment to myself. And yeah, he's just the most down-to-earth, generous, sort of talented person. And he works so hard. He's the hardest worker I know. And he's Ed Sheeran, so there's really saying something. But yeah, and then from then on, like it just made sense to sign to Gingerbread and work sort of more closely in that regard. But he's a really good friend of mine. He's like a brother to me, really, which is crazy. And yeah, I'm the biggest Ed Sheeran fan.
Thank you for watching. If you want more extra, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you'll never miss a video.